Hey, what's up everybody? Lawler here, your inside source for all things Rocket League. In today's video, we're going to be talking about two major things. Number one, it looks like the top blokes have officially signed with an organization. And the second thing is going to be the North America Regional number 2 recap. We've gotten through 2 days of North America Regionals. Again, there is chaos. Again, there is upsets. So we're going to be breaking that down before we get into the last games, final brackets, all that kind of fun stuff. So with that said, if you guys enjoy the content, as always, make sure you guys give it a thumbs up, as well as making sure to hit subscribe and turning on notifications. And while you're there, if you guys would like to support me, the easiest way to do so is all my social medias can be found in the description down below, as well as links to everything that I'll be talking about today. With that said, let's get straight into the video. So first things up, if you guys didn't see the tweet a couple days ago from Rams, the coach of Top Blokes, he has teased that he has thumbs up and a bunch of other things and the contract signing gif, but a bunch of different statements basically implying that they have signed with an org. Unfortunately, we don't know who the organization is, so I tried to do my best and I did reach out to Rams and he had this to say. We're signed, happy, and excited for the future. Can't comment on any of the speculation regarding who or when the details will be out. But just that they are very excited to finally represent somebody, which I think is great. Obviously, this is a team that I think has gone the correct path. They have consistently shown that they're a top team in the region, and they didn't really sell out early. I think this is a team that recognizes the capability of their team and what they're worth. And despite being in the pandemic for a lot of teams, which is a really tough situation, we have a lot of teams that are dropping or picking up other orgs down to earth, or FC Barcelona come to mind, where they're trying to save money by picking up a lesser team per se. And for a team like Top Blokes that has been notoriously top 4, top 3 for quite a while now, not giving in on that, kind of waiting for the right one to come around, the right organization to come around, and one that kind of fits their needs, I think is a really big deal. Obviously, this is a team that without salary money is surviving just on prize pools and trying to commit to it full time. So I am very appreciative that they were able to find a new organization or an organization to pick them up, and one that they think is deserving of them, and it's going to be an equal partnership. So really excited for Top Blokes, even though Top Blokes is not going to be the name moving forward. I have my hunches, but I'm not going to put that out into the public just because I'm not exactly 100% on it. I'm pretty sure I think I know who it is based upon conversations I've had with people, but again, it's just one of those things that I don't want to start that speculation and that rumor going out of respect of Rams and the rest of the guys. So I'm going to keep my lips sealed for now and maybe tell some people in private, and then I can look back at it and be like, hi, I was right. So maybe I'll game for myself. Details from Beyond the Summit are starting to come out. For those that don't know, Beyond the Summit, hopefully there is visuals here that Wojtek is putting up for y'all. But Beyond the Summit is kind of the go-to event that everybody really likes. For those that enjoyed Gold Rush and everything else, Beyond the Summit came along, and a lot of focus on the casters and the community and having fun, and more of a laid-back kind of approach where the players get to commentate the matches, and it's just a different environment. The last time they did this was the Summer Shuffle, where they did like a deck building kind of LAN, I guess, or a deck building kind of tournament where the players picked cards, and with those cards determined if it was like 1s, 2s, 3s, all that kind of stuff. But some of the details are starting to come out. They talk about the teams that are being introduced, and the first image is going to be the EU teams. There's going to be 8 of them. It's got BTS, Blokes, Vodafone Giants, Guild, Galaxy Racer, No Vitality, Dignitas, and Endpoint. And then for the North American teams, it's going to be Alpine, Rogue, Kansas City Pioneers, Version 1, United, PK, Sonics, and Space Station Gaming. Alongside that, they also have announced the talent lineup, the guys that are going to be casting. You've got JamesBot, Jorby, Stacks, Dazarin, Turtle, Leaf, Johnny, CJ, Cole, Yummy Cheeseman, Stumpy, and Smellsworth. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be a part of this one, and have not been a part of them in the past. Although last year I did get brought in as a special guest for Mafia. I can tell you guys without any specific details that they are doing things a little bit differently this time around for some of the fun things that are going on. So I can tell you right now, Lethamir has been doing some fun, interesting things that he has talked about for Beyond the Summit. I don't know how much of that he's talked about publicly, but I will tell you guys, you're going to want to tune into this event. There's going to be some pretty exciting stuff. BTS is almost always one of the favorites throughout the years. Unfortunately, it's not going to be at a live event, but they do have some details about the tournaments and stuff. Links to that on the Liquipedia and everything else will be in the description down below. Otherwise, you can go to BTS Rocket League on Twitter for all of that information in one place. Moving on to the important stuff of this video for most people is going to be the recap for the Regional 2. So far, 2 days have gone down. Today will be starting day number 3. And I can promise on Monday, we'll be recapping days 3 and day 4 just because it's a lot of content to all do at once. So we're kind of splitting them in halves over the weekend. But we are all the way through winners quarterfinals is where we're up to, where all the big matches will be for today. Energy, Peeps, all that kind of the top 8 seeds essentially will be playing. with some surprises in there. And then we're up to losers round 3. So we have 12 teams in total already eliminated. We're going to be breaking down the first couple of rounds, going over the results. Pretty quick recap overall, just to give you guys an idea of what has gone down so far and what to look forward to today. This video should be coming out a couple hours before those matches start. So it'll give you kind of a heads up before you start your watchings for this weekend. So first up in the results, we're going to go through winners round 1, then winners round 2, and then the quarterfinals and the matches that are going to be going. A little bit of prediction there, and then we'll get into the lower rounds, talk about some of the surprises that went down. So first things up, Jamal Jabari against 72PC. Jamal Jabari having a really good run. They actually end up giving a fight to all the teams they go up against so far, so that's been exciting. But for them in particular, 72PC was just a walk in the park. 72PC, I've had my opinions about that roster and what it's going to be. And Jamal Jabari is showing that they still remain a gatekeeper team. If you want to break into that top 10, this is the team you got to beat. United wins over Vibrant, Alpine over Sip and Ice Cubes, V1 over Charlotte Phoenix. The version 1 over Charlotte Phoenix one was good to see from V1. V1 obviously trying to separate themselves as a team that is worthy of a top 8, and I do think they are. It's just for some reason Space Station and Jumping Ahead just wants to lose in the uppers for whatever reason to make everybody in the lowers hate them. So V1 has a really tough bracket again, but Charlotte Phoenix did give them a little bit of a fight and a little bit of a shock and surprise. Multiple teams actually in the grid last week in week 2, but it does look like version 1 has figured it out and is playing very smart Rocket League. A 3-0 clean sweep there. Down to Earth over Loco. If you guys don't remember, Down to Earth used to be the continuing team, and then they picked up a different roster that is now with Tool, Bambi, and J-Bot as the additions. So they've been looking pretty solid. Sonics over Zero Issue. 3-0 there. Zero Issue is Kronovi, Fouls, and Risky. They have been having some struggles. And then Kansas City Pioneers, after having a really rough grid, have looked like they are coming back to compete again. On the opposite side of that is Pittsburgh Knights, which we'll talk to in just a bit here. So your team's progressing: Jamal Jabari, United, Alpine, version 1, Down to Earth, Sonics, Xset, and Kansas City Pioneers. All those other teams are going down to losers round 1, which we'll talk about here in just a bit. In winners round 2, we've got Energy versus Jamal Jabari. This is what I was talking about, how Jamal Jabari has been putting up a bit of a fight. Bringing Energy to game 5. It does look like Energy probably should have lost this. This was, without a doubt, Jamal Jabari's game to win. They were doing the right things to stop Energy. Energy was not looking all that great. I did talk to Justin after the matches, and when he was on stream and we were communicating, he was just happy that they have a break today. They didn't have to play Friday, which is today when I'm recording this video, so yesterday for when you guys are watching this video. But you can tell for a lot of these players that playing this much competitive play is really taking its toll on a lot of the players. Even though they still scrimmed today / yesterday when you guys are watching this video, when you're playing this much competitive Rocket League with stakes on the line every single time, it is burning these players out. So Energy and particularly Justin said, like, if we had to play through lower bracket again, we would have never had a chance. So very happy to be where they are. I think they've got a favorable matchup against the Peeps, as the Peeps do take down United 3-1. United looking flat. I was pretty happy about United's progression and where they were going, and it looked like stuff was going in the right direction. They looked atrocious today. They did not look good whatsoever. Blanket statement for all of Friday's matches: they were bad. Like, the gameplay was just bad. It was like season 6 or 7 in the studio when I was still casting on the desk. First weeks of Rocket League kind of bad. Bunch of mistakes, terrible accuracy, not threatening shots, really weak stuff. Like, it was just bad gameplay. You can tell this new format is starting to take its toll. You can tell that a lot of people, through tweets or otherwise, they really don't like double elimination, and I'm glad they're finally starting to see it, because I hate double elimination. I'll probably have a rant for you guys about that in the next couple of days, about my ideal format, why I like it, pros and cons of each of the formats, potential formats that we may see. I'm hoping group stage round robin, like spring split is 20 teams, 2 groups of 10, round robin, single elimination, top 8. I'm just saying, do some cool stuff. That'll be a different video. We'll get into that in a different time. Either way, people hate double elimination. All my homies hate double elimination. I don't like double elim, and I think a lot of people are starting to find out why. It's just too many matches. It's overdone, especially when they're playing this many times. Either way, don't like double elim. But United dropping down, Peeps move on to play Energy. Space Station and Alpine. Space Station, again, a team that they should be beating convincingly. Go to 5. They lose. Alpine takes the victory over them. No overtimes on this one, just clean games. But a lot of 1-goal games. Very close matches overall. But these are ones that Space Station should not be losing. Space Station, to me, is just better in every capacity compared to Alpine. But they looked pretty poor in this one. Just flat. And it's weird to see. Maybe it is that warm-up match that is giving the advantage. I think for a lot of teams, they're starting to recognize that a team with a warm-up, and this has been a continuous issue, if you are having a bye and you're playing a team that just comes off a competitive match, even if you're doing scrims and stuff beforehand, it does not matter. The team that is playing in a real situation with pressure and everything else is going to take that as a much better warm-up than playing a scrim for an hour before your matches or whatever it may be. So Alpine comes in with practice and anticipation and excitement and all this kind of stuff, while Space Station's like, okay, we got to take this seriously, and then they're just trying to play catch up. So they are on the receiving end. I don't think it's a good enough excuse personally, but I do understand the frustration and why. Again, I don't like double elimination. Right below that, we get G2 versus version 1. Version 1 could have closed this one out, but a fun little stat if you guys didn't see me tweet it. Version 1 at the end of today, or the end of Friday, so technically yesterday for you guys. Version 1 in Game 5, they have played series where they have either gone the distance or whatever it may be. So Game 5s, Game 7s, they have gone 8 and 16. Now they're 8 and 17. They have the second worst Game 5 / Game 7 win record out of any team at like 30 some odd %. It's terrible. Throughout RLCSX, again, they have gone 8 and 17 now, and the next closest is Space Station at 28 series. Currently, Space Station has the head-to-head of V1 1-1 until today, where they broke that tiebreaker. We'll talk about that at the very end. Sorry if that's confusing, but just look at the tweet, it'll make sense. But G2 beats version 1 in a very close series. Version 1 could have won that game, just again, started a little bit flat. G2 really picked up the pace in games 3 and 4 and ended up getting a reverse sweep, which is kind of the part that hurts the most. But G2 came in very flat. Again, warm-up match, I think, being the beneficiary here. We jump down to the next one, Team Envy versus Down to Earth. There is not a day that I ever see Envy losing to Down to Earth, whether it be the old one of Continuum or the new one. Envy, to me, is just a better team in this situation. And if you remember watching WSOE qualifiers and stuff, Envy just absolutely decimated them. Ghost versus Sonics, I talked about how this one could have been a little bit closer. Depends on which team shows up. And in this circumstance, it is Ghost Gaming on the better half. They beat Sonics 3-1. 2 overtimes in there. All 1-goal games. A very close series could go either way. Ultimately, the way I look at it is, depending on what Sonic shows up, if J-Russ is having a field day, if T-Krell is hitting his double touches, they're a very tough team to beat. But Ghost's defense is what has kind of kept them alive. And it looks like that was the same case here. We then drop down to Rogue versus Xset. Rogue should never lose that series, and they don't. 3-1. Xset just has not been looking all that great lately, in my opinion. The only time that they do win is if they shut out Rogue. But after that, Rogue just starts to pile on goals. Again, First Killer and Turinturo have been looking pretty dang good this season so far. It's just how can they fit in Taroko? Getting him involved, I think, is going to be a really big benefit to their playstyle if they can do so. And you do get that a little bit later on in the bracket. In the last winners round 2 is going to be Pittsburgh Knights versus Kansas City Pioneers. And in what most would see after PK's performance in regionals, absolutely dominant. Going through the lower bracket, reverse sweeps against high-level teams like Space Station and beating G2 and going up neck to neck against Energy and all the other kind of stuff. You'd think, okay, PK's starting to look good. They're finally got some stuff going on. The Kansas City Pioneers, primarily Beast Mode, having a day, are able to beat them 3-1. It looks like Kansas City Pioneers back on track, bouncing back in a very positive way. So good to see them doing that. I do think that PK should have won that series, but for Kansas City Pioneers to do what they are, it's glad to see them kind of back trending in the right direction. They've got a tough matchup against Rogue tomorrow/today. So that one will be one we definitely keep our eyes on. So with that said, looking at the winners quarterfinals, these will be starting. These are your first matches today if you guys are watching. Energy Peeps and Team Envy Ghost Gaming are going to be on the main channels. After those are done, it'll be Alpine versus G2 and then Rogue versus Kansas City Pioneers following up. Energy should beat the Peeps pretty handily. Alpine G2. G2 should win. Although Alpine has been putting up a pretty good fight to some of these teams, they could surprise depending on what G2 shows up. But G2 should win this ultimately. They've just, it depends on how well Rizzo is going to continue to be disruptive. Rizzo is what is making that offense look oh so good lately. So if Rizzo has anything but a good day, I'm a little bit worried for G2, but Rizzo's been super consistent lately, so I don't see that being an issue. Envy versus Ghost. Envy's just better than Ghost in every way, so Envy wins that one. Rogue Kansas City Pioneers is a coin flip for me. Sometimes Rogue is able to power it through with First and Turin. Sometimes Kansas City Pioneers does the same thing with Beast Mode Rapid. So I think that one could be a lot closer than people think, but Rogue should get the nod. A lot of high seeds winning in this one, I think. We're going to close it out with the lower rounds. Not a whole lot to talk about here. There's only a couple storylines that are really important, so we're going to break through these. The big one for me is 72PC is able to upset Down to Earth, so congrats to them. Able to move on. Sonics over Vibrance 3-0. No surprises there. The biggest one and probably one of the worst series I've ever watched. Xset versus Sip and Ice Cubes. That game just sucked. The gameplay was terrible. Nobody was playing well. There was some good moments and some good mechanics here and there, but God, was it bad. Xset should have never lost this. Some really bad things happened in that series from their end with an own goal and then a stupid dunk that never should have happened. I think it was Luke possibly that went for a wave dash 50-50, but his wave dash just overpowered. I think it was J-Pow, and it dunked it and went into the net to close it out. So a really close series, a really bad series to watch. Not a whole lot of positives from that. But Xset, you got to play faster than that. Like, I know Sippin' Ice Cubes plays weird and the rotations don't make any sense because some of them don't even rotate on that team, but you're better than that Xset. And it stinks because I know you guys are developing. Oxer started having a really good game and then it just fell apart. So that is a tough loss for Xset, and that is also the first win for Sippin' Ice Cube. So congrats to them. We jump down then to PK versus Charlotte Phoenix. PK's defense should be able to stop Charlotte Phoenix. They do 3-0. They move on to Sippin' Ice Cubes. Jamal Jabari over Loco are fighting. It does go to 5. Loco does end up powering through, and I do like what Loco has been doing with their new style of gameplay. It isn't as aggressive. It seems to be a bit more controlled, but they still have the ability to work in some more solo plays. It seems to be working a lot for teams like Loco and Charlotte Phoenix, and even I guess at times at Sonics. But they've been working in a lot more solo stuff, which is forcing these teams with really good defense that are hard to break through. It's forcing them to come out of defense and challenge the ball, which opens up their offense and then allows them to score. So Loco's been doing a good job of kind of mixing it up a bit. The next one, and probably and realistically the worst match out of this entire bracket, United versus Zero Issue. I don't know if it's just because I have an expectation of United to play better than this, but man, was this series just bad. We talk about how competitive play is getting better and better, and all these matches are making people look better, and the games are getting more competitive. This was one that just looked bad. Not every game of Rocket League can be absolutely perfect. I think it was Johnny Boy and Shogun who were casting this at the moment. They talked about the same thing. They're just like, you know what? Sometimes gameplay is just a little lackluster and people just aren't feeling it on that day. And sometimes both teams are feeling that way as well. United, in my opinion, the better team does still get the victory, but this was not it. This is not the Rocket League we're looking for. There was a lot of resident sleeper spam in chat. This game was not pretty. Space Station, easy work versus Seoul in the first round, as it should be, as they are starting to bounce back. This is what makes it very scary for everybody else in the lores. When a big dog like Space Station is dropping down early, they can start to get that momentum in the lower bracket. And even though it is a grind in a lot of matches for them, they are getting in form, getting ready for the next matches. So I do feel like whoever plays them in that lower round 3 is going to have a little bit of a leg up, because even though they come off a loss, they have played a match recently. So it will be very interesting to see who Space Station's opponent will be. It does look like it's probably going to be Ghost, which they should win. And then after that, I'm thinking it's probably going to be Rogue or Kansas City Pioneers, which I also think they can win. So you're talking when they get into that quarterfinal match, they're going to have 2 games under their belts, pretty good warm-up matches. Space Station's going to be a tough one. On the other side, we've got version 1 versus Sup. And version 1, again, trying to talk about creating their separation. If you go back and look at all of their match history on Liquipedia, teams that are not in the top 5, top 6, they pretty much sweep or 3-1. Out of sight, out of mind, close it out. But in their games against the top dogs, which in this case, version 1, we're jumping ahead over to losers round 2, they go up against Space Station. And the 2 games they lose are against Space Station and G2 in game 5, down to the wire, overtimes, and it's just, I feel really bad. Obviously, I cast for version 1, you guys know that, but it's like, what are they supposed to do here? Like, they're trying to push in, and the way I look at it is like, if version 1 wins this, and they don't have to play against Space Station, so if speculation here, if I look at the upper bracket, Space Station wins, they go on to play G2 right now. Space Station drops Alpine down. I personally think V1 doesn't have an issue with that. They then beat Ghost, and they're finding themselves at minimum in losers round 4, where I think they could take Rogue or Kansas City Pioneers or Loco, which puts them in the quarterfinals. And it's like, there's your top 8 performance that you guys desperately need to make it into majors. And it's like, man, I really feel for version 1, whether I'm biased or not, because I cover their broadcast. I just feel because they have been on the receiving end of a ton of games. And yes, they have to win these matches no matter what. But it's like, this is what happens when the bracket ends up like this. And it's really frustrating for them. And I feel for the guys because I can tell they're frustrated too about it. But, you know, what else are they supposed to do? So, man, version 1, their losses come to G2 and to Space Station, and that's happening in the round of 16. You're talking 16th in a tournament, and you play Space Station and G2. That sucks. Right above that, we've got Loco versus E United. Loco actually beats E United, and I'm not surprised. E United just did not look good at all today or yesterday when you're watching this. So E United gets eliminated. It does still go to 5, and they put up a pretty good fight. One of Mike was doing some interesting things to try to create some goal opportunities, but ultimately Loco just more consistent as a team. Above that, Pittsburgh Knights versus Sippin' Ice Cubes. Again, why teams are losing to this, I don't understand. PK played super flat, and even though they were still able to put up goals, they're losing to Sipping Ice Cubes in ridiculous fashion. 2 OTs to end it. The fact that they couldn't even score a goal, I think, is very telling. Even though PK's defense is pretty solid, Sipping Ice Cubes did do a good job of boost control and being a nuisance on offense. And the only reason Sippin' Ice Cubes scored is because for some reason this entire series, neither team wanted to shoot it on target. It was constantly played in the corner, kind of going around, a lot of boom ball, no possession. And then the one shot that came in that overtime that just happened to be on target in the middle of the net just goes in. Nobody's there to defend against it. Nobody's ready for it. And it's just like, yeah, that's seriously all it takes. I'm being super critical because I don't think anybody else will be, but man, these games were bad. I'm sure PK feels just as bad about it because I know they're a much better team than this. ZPS, SOS, and everything else, I've been singing their praises for a week and a half now because of what they've been doing with the addition since the winter split started. But sometimes you just have an off day and it happens and it sucks and you hope to bounce back quickly. It just stinks more so when it's in regionals, which is the one that is weighed extremely heavy. So unfortunate for PK here. They're going to go back to the drawing board and hope that they close out regional strong and regional number 3 in a few weeks. Last but not least, Sonics versus 72 PC. Not much to talk about. Sonics is just the better team. They end up winning. They dropped game 1 1-0, and then after that, they hold 72 PC to 1 goal over the next 3 games. 2-1, 4-0, and 1-0. So Sonics finally starting to get some love. They are going to break in. They will be playing the loser of Alpine and G2. I think that's a pretty tough matchup for them. That is going to wrap it up for the bracket recap. Hopefully you guys enjoy that. We will be finalizing that. Twitch.tv/Lawler. If you want to come hang out with us, link in the description down below. We'll be doing watch parties for all the matches this weekend. There is a lot of them. With that said, we will do a recap after everything is closed out. Rather than doing another recap the next day for the next few matches, I think there's like a couple rounds worth. We're going to just save all of them. So we're going to do all of winners finals, all of the lower stuff that's to be wrapped up, as well as the grand finals, just because we can do them all in one, make it easier for you guys rather than having to watch 5 minutes here, 5 minutes there. So with that said, if you guys do have any questions, comments, concerns, or if you prefer I break them down day by day, let me know in the comments down below. Any questions, comments, concerns, as always, I try to get back to you guys when I can. But with that said, that is going to do it for me tonight. We're going to try to wrap it up a little bit early here so I can go play some Cyberpunk and get into some trouble. So with that said, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. We'll catch you next time. Peace.